G'day, g'day. How you going? What do you know? They'll strike a light. G'day, g'day. And how you going? Just say g'day, 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 and you'll be right.
Now we come to the portion of the service before we do our Bible study. We address some end times news and trends that are happening as it relates to Bible prophecy. I'm not going to get into all the news items, but I want to give you some things to hold on to, things to pay attention to as we close out this year and especially as we approach a new year. Things are going to speed up so quickly in this next coming year, prophetically speaking. This last year was amazing to see some of the things that came into place. Next year is going to be even more intense. Now, when it comes to Bible prophecy, again, God's timepiece is Israel. So that's like the hour hand. Jerusalem would be like that minute hand. The Temple Mount would be the second hand. That is so key for us to watch and see what's happening when it comes to the dealings of Jerusalem and all the things that are happening in Israel. That's the timepiece. That's the centerpiece when it comes to Bible prophecy. The peace deal that is being worked on as we speak. Again, there's a lot of setbacks. There's a lot of components to it. But this will be one of those things that has to be in place before the tribulation starts. It has to be in place for the Antichrist to sign it and to confirm it, because Daniel 9:27 talks about he has confirmed this particular peace agreement. And perhaps within this peace deal will be the opportunity for the third temple to be rebuilt. That has to happen, because we know halfway through the tribulation period, the Antichrist comes in there and he desecrates the temple and demands everyone to worship him. So we can see that's the timepiece. We know we're not there yet, but they're ready for it. That's how close we are. So that's something to pay attention to. And again, what's been transpiring the last several weeks after President Trump declared that the U.S. wants to move its embassy to Jerusalem from Tel Aviv, which every nation has the right to do. And there's quite a few other nations that are following suit as well. But the world had a conniption fit over this move, and especially the Muslim world. And now you have a lot of these other Muslim countries that are saying, no, Jerusalem is the capital of the Muslim nation, or of Palestine. But this created a bunch of chaos. So this is exactly what Zechariah 12 talks about, that Jerusalem is the cup of trembling. And it's that centerpiece of Bible prophecy and how the world is going to be against it. So we're seeing this piece of the puzzle coming to pass. There's still a lot more that has to happen, but that's one of the things that you need to pay attention to. So keep watching what is happening in Jerusalem. The second thing that we do talk about on a regular basis is Damascus. Isaiah 17 talks about the Damascus will come to a ruin. There's been quite a few attacks that we've mentioned in the past, how Israel's been launching some missiles going into there in the surrounding regions, because Assad has a bunch of weapons there, chemical weapons and other weapons there. So they wanted to take that out before they use it on Israel, preemptive strike. But it's just a matter of time before we see this city become a heap of ruins. So this is another key factor in watching what's taking place. And this could also be a trigger what would happen with Ezekiel 38. With Iran and Russia wanting to come in and invade. And we've mentioned many times before how Iran is building up their military in Syria right now, and also with Russia. Russia did not pull out, as some have reported. They're still there. They're going to be a part of that prophecy coming in to invade Israel. So that is another key thing for us to pay attention to. We're getting closer and closer to seeing these things being developed and being fulfilled. We do talk about from time to time other signs of the time, that we are close to the Lord's return. Let me share with you several passages of Scripture. And again, you've heard these many before, but just to keep it in mind, just to watch what's happening. In 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 3 says, knowing this first, that scoffers will come in the last days, walking according to their own lust, and saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all these things continue as they were from the beginning of creation. And you see the amount of people that are mocking Christianity, the mocking the Lord's return, even questioning the Lord's return and when he comes back, if he comes back. But we're starting to see that. But you also see how they're walking according to their own lust. This is what you're seeing around the world, people walking in their own lust. Also, 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1, knowing this, that the last days, perilous times will come. For men will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, unloving, unforgiving, slanderers, without self-control, brooders, despisers of good, traitors, headstrong, haughty, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying the power of, and from such people turn away. Yes, that's always been since mankind's been existent, but in these last days, we're seeing these things on a whole nother level. The immorality, the blasphemy, just the perversion these days. Just all these sort of things, you're seeing this is coming to pass. We're seeing these things there. Also in Daniel chapter 12, verse 4, talks about this. But you, Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book until the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and the knowledge shall increase. We see the speed of travel these days. We see the internet. We see the information. The knowledge has increased, astronomically. So we're starting to see these sort of things. You can get on a plane here and go to wherever in a matter of hours, where in the old days it took days and months to get to certain places. As it says, many will run to and fro. The speed of travel these days, the knowledge has increased, and this is all part of the end times. And then we see in Romans chapter 11, verse 25. And this is where we're waiting to see the fulfillment of this. Once this happens, then the rapture will take place. Where we see, I do not desire, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own opinion, that the blindness in part has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles has come in. We're waiting for one more person, probably a lot more than that, to come in to get saved. There's one person that could be holding it all back, before the rapture of the church. But that's how close we are. But it's the fullness of the Gentiles before Jacob's trouble, which is the tribulation period. And then, as we do talk about that filter grid, as Matthew 24 talks about, as Jesus sat on the Mount of Olives in verse 3, and the disciples saying to him privately, "Tell us, when will these things be, and the sign of your coming at the end of the age?" And Jesus answered and said to them, "Take heed that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive many. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars, and see that you're not troubled. All these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines, pestilences, earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of sorrows." These are the signs of the times. It's going to dramatically increase. We're just seeing the surface of it right now. But you see within that 5 key components of the filter grid that we've talked about. The earth and the sky, the earthquakes, the natural disasters. Unbelievable if you're to go and check some of these things out that are happening right now, the number of earthquakes in various places, the amount of disasters that are going on. It's like the end times, just the wrath being poured out. It's going to get a lot worse. The moral issues, the immorality, the homosexuality, the whole agenda there, the perversion, the religion, apostasy, people falling away from the Lord, being deceived, the deception that has crept into the church, the false teachers. You see the persecution is going to be in the rise as well. The technology, that is there. And then fifthly, the nations, wars and kingdom against kingdom. You see all the catastrophe that's happening with all the governments around the world. And then, of course, the number one piece when you're looking at Bible prophecy is Israel. What's happening there? So, we're living in the end times. The Lord's return is soon. And we're going to see a lot more things that are going to happen. But we're seeing a lot of fulfillment. These pieces of the puzzle coming closer and closer together. And partly why we do these updates, just to remind you, is to warn you of what's going on. To keep you informed, to equip you, to exhort you, to stay close to Jesus, to stay in His Word, to be a person of prayer, to be watchful, and to be ready for the Lord's return. So stay faithful in what the Lord has called you to do. Keep pressing on, occupy, be busy until He returns. It's a time to relax. This is a time to continue to focus on what He's called you, every one of us, to do. Amen? And that concludes today's update.